high leverage situations?
Yeah, there's no question he did. He made me look like a dummy, and we talked about it back in the coaches' locker room. There was a chance he could have pitched last night, and maybe you could argue we should have used him, and I know he wanted to be in the game. He's a good kid. He would never say anything disrespectful to the coaches, but you could see he kind of had an extra bit of emotion boiling out because he wanted to be out there, and that's the right way to handle it. It's kind of like the way our guys showed up to the park today. It's an emotional series, and obviously Game 3, which will decide who wins, and you have to certainly have passion and emotion, but you got to control it. And that guy had whatever all the levels are on those things I just said, he had them all turned up all the way, but yet had them under control.
What was Joseph Gonzalez doing those middle innings that really cleared hitters off?
Yeah, I mean, the whole game he's good, man. It ain't like he's got a 25-plus ERA. He's one of their better guys. And, I think for me, he seems to kind of be a rhythm pitcher from watching the video, and we fortunately got him right out of the gate when maybe he hadn't settled in or whatever you want to phrase it. But otherwise, he's kind of been their best numbers guy all year long, and seems to be a guy that kind of gets in a rhythm, and he's got a little Hundley effect to him where he's not scared out there and just kind of touching and going and messing with hitters a little bit. The other thing is, the wind wasn't too friendly unless you hit it right at the scoreboard. So there were some well-struck balls on both sides that, didn't result in anything productive.
You kept going back to Joyce again and again. Pretty sure it's his longest outing. Why was it? Was there any thought of taking him out?
Well, there's never any doubt in our minds he's prepared to go back-to-back days or long distance. And I even said to you guys one time that we think he can be a starter. I mean, if you're talking about the draft or anything down the road, I wouldn't put that past him. You got to have kind of a 2 or 3 pitch mix and throw strikes, and he does that. And you got to have stuff to be able to go through the order multiple times. He obviously has that, but. No, we kind of had a plan for some matchups for other guys, but he was the first guy out of the pen regardless because of those circumstances I mentioned before. And I ain't the smartest fella, but I ain't taking that guy out of the game, nor any of the other coaches.
What was the thinking in leaving Beam in there, I think it was top of the 6th?
Yeah, it was close. It was close. And you saw we were fortunate. I mean, you got a green light, Sonny, with the 3-0 count. Not a phenomenal swing, and then he had looked good against Pierce, And then I believe we got to 2 strikes, so kind of hoping he'd get that guy out, and then was going to have to make the call, are we going to Ben or not? And, the call was kind of made for us because the ball got squared up, I believe, with 2 strikes going back. So, he was rocking and rolling, and, we'll have to go back and see it. I mean, I think maybe there was times where they had our guys' pitches, and maybe there was times where we had their pitches. It'll be something we can look at with Drew, but, I mean, he came out really looking sharp, and so.
Couple innings accepted on Friday. This was probably the most competitive series scoreboard
you
guys have had. What was it that made it that way, and how good was it for your team to go through that?
Yeah, I knew it was coming, and that's what I was kind of rambling, but I was going to say it'd be pretty interesting to see both teams, neutral site, both sides healthy, what kind of series you'd have. Not that this one wasn't phenomenal, but we expected it. I mean, well coached, play hard, a lot of talent up and down the lineup, and I think to go to your other point, it's pretty good for our guys to know they're not invincible. Because I think the way they act sometimes, people might think that, but it's just a confident group that likes to compete. But everyone needs to be reminded a little bit, you can be humbled in this game really, really quick. And to further that point, showing up today, I think, was kind of the first time where you kind of showed up to the park and it had that feel like an elimination type game in a regional or a super regional, or with your season on the line, or maybe down in Hoover. And phenomenal for our guys to experience that. So, in a weird way, thankful for the situation.
You talked a lot earlier in the season about Ben just needing reps. Now he's gotten those reps, where has he grown the most?
I think basically controlling that fire. I mean, some guys got to pitch with different personality. I mean, I mentioned Hundley earlier. Sometimes you're wondering if he was even awake when he was on the mound, and Ben certainly is. But he's kind of mastered all his routines and pitches. He just needed the opportunity to go out there and do those things. And what do you do in between innings? What do you do your warm-ups? You don't have to turn it into a science project. But again, just needed reps. And if you're going to go off today, you'd probably say the head coach was a little too slow in building him up. But we want to be at our best in May and June, and I think Ben's going to be at his best in May and June. And if anything, the coaching staff did definitely call that a few times.
Tony, I know that you said that the win was not really anyone's favorite today in the play, but I guess when Begg squares one up, it maybe doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah, so Chris Burke asked off the record, he brought up some hitters, and he said, is Jordan Beck the best hitter in the country? And I love Jordan to death. There's no way to really grade that out, so I wouldn't say no, he's not. But I said, what about their guy? The way that guy plays the game and the type of kid he is and how good his swing is, I don't know what his swing looked like last year, but Sonny might be the best hitter, at least that we've faced. Again, I'm pro Tennessee guys, but as far as guys that we've had on this field, he's the most concerned we've ever been about. But I think Jordan, going back to my deal with Burke, I said he might be the most explosive hitter in college baseball, where, anything crazy can, even just a line drive out at Minute Maid, he had so many, anything crazy can happen at any moment because he's so explosive. And to your point there, it really didn't matter which way the wind was blowing or what have you.
Is that a bad with how he worked back from 02, just kind of an example of how much he's improved in his career here?
Yeah, I mean, you saw his posture. I mean, again, you got a big, strong guy like Ben or Jordan. They're certainly blessed, but you got to learn how to use those tools in your favor. And he's learned to do it with his arm in the outfield, his defense in the outfield, his base running. He's a good runner for how big he is. And then, I think he's become more of a complete hitter. And it's a testament to his work ethic. He kind of does it low-key. Not a lot of look at me, but if you're talking about the cages, out here on the field, hooking up with Coach Elander and being in the video room, he might be in first place out of the hitters. Ben Joyce is in first place out of anybody that's been here so far.
Do you expect Chase and Dickey to maybe be back next weekend?
I would love that. Like I said, it's always great to say, what would it be like if we had our full squad or they had their full squad, but it's not going to end up that way. I mean, you're always maybe Halvey, hopefully something crazy can happen. You're always going to wonder if a guy's feeling 100% if you got the whole roster, but when we do get those guys back, it'll be a huge boost. But I think Blake Burke and Kyle Booker are two guys that realize maybe there's a window here while Dickey's out. And then I think certainly with Dolander being out, maybe we don't have that outing with Ben Joyce. That's really a historic outing. So whenever he comes back, I think the staff will come together even more.
Moving Luke up into the 2 spot, just what do you get from him and him being able to get on, especially in those 2 innings where you guys put something together?
Yeah, if again, you lose your temper and get suspended, you're listening to the broadcast, and John Wilkerson just kept talking about getting on base. And with the pitcher we were going to see today, we knew it was going to be a challenge. Throws a lot of strikes, not a ton of strikeouts, but gets a bunch of outs. So just looking for anyone early in the game to get on base. Again, there was a carryover from last night. I don't know if Friday or Saturday had anything to do with today, but it was kind of in our meeting something we focused on is what do we got to do to kind of throw the first punch or produce something, and it's pretty crazy how that one worked out.
Thank you so much.